Our Vegas fantasy is not what you think. Hey, it's our 4th episode of Our Vegas Fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
You really want professional bump music? I think not. You have me and a keyboard. How about that? My name's Kenny Davidsen, and I'm with my friend Christina Shaw.
Hi, Kenny.
And this is our Vegas Fantasy. It's the end of week 1 going into week 2. How'd you do, Christina?
I went 1 and 3.
1 and 3. Now, Christina's in 4 leagues, so 1 and 3.
Yeah.
And you said you did pretty well in the 3 losses.
Even though I didn't win, I feel like my players performed. I think I just had some bad beats.
Right.
My New York league, I only lost by 6 points. I went against Michael Thomas and Julio Jones.
Oh, that's a loss.
Right. And that was the same league that you scored the most points in.
I did.
Very
I led
nice.
the league in points in that league. And
Very
I sat
nice.
Saquon Barkley, and I
Yep.
still led the league in points in that
Yep.
league. But I had 3 better options. I will not sit Saquon Barkley again because, he performed against Jacksonville, so that shows me that he's worth playing every week. But I didn't know what to think of him. But yeah, I got the most points in that league. But I went 12 and 12 in my 24 leagues, which is not good enough. I need to go a lot better than that. But, first week, figuring it out. I've definitely identified 3 in trouble teams, and they're all injuries. Like, I have one team, that auction league we talked about. I have Doug Baldwin, Leonard Fournette, and Marcus Mariota. That team's in trouble.
Yeah.
I am doing a lot of bidding this week. I'm already using Fab Budget, like a lot of it in week 1, which I don't like doing, but I don't have a choice. And then I just got a couple other teams that are so not so good. Then I got a few teams that are real good. So, and then everything's still really evaluating,
The funny thing is the team that I thought, actually, that we both thought was going to be the best was my ESPN league.
Yes.
And I'm dead last in points. I did the worst in that league.
Well, we're going to explain why, because we were both very high on a player that did nothing this week.
Yeah.
But let's go to what were the studs, the best players of the week here. Obviously, let's start with the Saints, because they had 2 incredible starts. Now, look, when a team scores 40 points, and a team scores 40 points and lose. So, yeah, it's ironic. The first 4 players on our list are from the New Orleans-Tampa Bay game. Alvin Kamara. How about that? What a week for Alvin Kamara, right?
112 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 receptions.
That's
Jeez.
crazy. Now, I mean, it's ironic because, he's the 5th pick in the draft, and we're all wondering about the top 4. Gurley, Bell, Zeke, and DJ. And then Kamara is was the obvious 5th, but nobody even considered, what if we put Kamara over those guys, right? And Kamara very likely is going to have a better year out of all of them. I was up against Kamara in a league, and I said to my friend Lisa, I was like, you Kamara'd me. Kamara sounds like a wrestling move. Yeah. It's the Kamara. Samoa Joe with the Kamara. Right? It's totally it. So he's going to be amazing, at least until Ingram comes back. And even when Ingram comes back, you don't know. He might still be.
I think he's still going to be number 1
he's
when
great.
Ingram comes
How about
back.
Michael Thomas this week? What a performance that was. He was over double digits in targets, nearly 20 targets from Michael Thomas. Right?
And he plays the Browns this week. I think he's a good, nice little play this week as well.
I think you're in good shape with that. So now here's the unexpected great from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 2 players from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're not even going to talk about Mike Evans, who was great, because a lot of people have Mike Evans. But
He's
how about
always
2 players?
great.
How about 2 players that nobody had? How about Ryan Fitzmagic?
21 of 28 attempts.
So do you stream him?
I wouldn't. I think, honestly, it was like not one and done, but I think it was kind of a little bit of a fluke.
See, he's the type of guy, he'll get 4 touchdowns in one week and get 4 interceptions in the next week. Now, they're playing Cleveland. And, we need to take Cleveland's defense a little more seriously than we used to. I don't think that's, they're not playing Cleveland. No, New Orleans is playing Cleveland. Tampa's playing Philadelphia. Never mind.
Yes.
So Tampa's playing Philadelphia.
I don't think you play him.
Yeah, I wouldn't play
No.
Fitzpatrick against that. That's not going to be good. And, listen, 1 week, not bad, right?
I would play Flacco over Fitzpatrick.
Flacco against Cincinnati on Thursday night.
Yeah.
All right.
I think Flacco's a better
Flacco had a good week. Fitzpatrick's got weapons, though.
He does.
If Jackson plays, even if Jackson doesn't play, Chris Godwin showed that he's a starter.
I like Chris
Obviously,
Godwin.
Evans, O.J. Howard, a little bit in the backfield, so they look good. Now, how about Deshaun Jackson?
But with the Eagles' defense.
Yeah. The Eagles' defense looks good.
Yeah.
How about Deshaun Jackson?
He suffered a concussion. That's what I'm a little bit scared of.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on if he's going to play this week. But out of my 24 leagues, I think he's on waivers in 22 of them.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I think he is in all I think 3 out of 4 of my
I
leagues.
just, I can't stand owning Deshaun Jackson. I can't because he's, again, 150 yards one week, 10 the next.
Mm-hmm.
He may get a little more consistency here, but no, I'm not on that. I don't want him. But you know what? Let him go off. It's fine.
It's really, he's unclear if he's going to be available for the next 3 to 4 weeks, really, with this concussion. You don't know how bad it is. But it would have been so fun to watch him play against the Eagles.
Yeah.
I'm kind of bummed that he's not playing against the Eagles this week. It would have been fun to watch.
Well, we don't know. We don't know. He's not ruled out yet. We don't know for sure. I mean, it's likely because concussions.
I don't think he's playing.
Yeah.
But I think if he did, he would have had another huge week.
Well, against the Eagles defense, though.
But I still think he would have a huge week against.
It's his former team,
right?
So
I feel like every time a player comes back from a former team, they always kill it.
There's something about that. How about Kansas City with 2 big-time players this week? So we didn't know much about Patrick Mahomes. I think we learned about Patrick Mahomes. That guy looks like a heck of a player.
No interceptions either.
None.
That whole game.
No. Against the Chargers. And the Chargers are supposed to have a good defense. They're a little beat up. So it was the Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill show. How good is Tyreek Hill?
169 yards, 2 touchdowns, led the team in targets. They have great chemistry, him and Mahomes.
Yeah.
Great chemistry.
Every year when you're drafting in fantasy, there's a guy in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round that, all right, who's the guy that is not in the first round, but is going to be the league winner? Tyreek Hill could be that guy. How good was that? You don't know. Now, again, he could be a bloomer bust guy every week. You don't know what their offense is going to be every week, but that was definitely a heck of a first week for Tyreek Hill.
Did you see how fast he was running?
Nobody can catch him. He gets open field, he's gone.
He was running past his blockers.
Yeah.
Like, just out of control running.
He's out of control. He's tremendous. And now, on the other side of the fence, let's stay with Kansas City just to keep this symmetry here. How about Kareem Hunt? Not much going on there with Kareem Hunt this week.
I think Hunt is a roller coaster of points and non-points and points and non-points as opposed, with fantasy.
He was last year. No, he was great for 8 weeks, and then all of a sudden they get back from their bye week last year, and he did nothing, and then he ended the season very strong.
Right. So I feel like he's just one of those players that you're going to put in 1 week and he's going to do great. You're going to put him in next week and he's going to do horrible.
Kansas City might have one of these offenses that has a different player every week doing something. You didn't get anything. We didn't even talk about Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce got nothing this week, but next week it could be great.
Right.
You don't know.
And you just, with Andy Reid, man, especially with his running backs, Andy Reid likes to throw.
Andy Reid. I think he'll be fine, but it was just the scheme, and it was all Tyreek Hill, it was all Patrick Mahomes. I think Hunt's a great player. Now let's go back to New England Patriots fantasy low from Chris Hogan.
Do you bench Chris Hogan?
Depends.
Do you?
What are your options?
I don't know. I think you give him another shot this week, and if he does horrible, maybe you bench him. But I think he's going to have a bounce back week.
It's the only issue is they're up against Jacksonville. I don't know. I would be a little weary to start Hogan. I think this is a James White week or a Rex Burkhead week. I would stay away from the running from the wide receivers.
It's just scary. He was barely targeted.
Yeah.
And that was bad.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of that. And
but Gronk had a good game.
Gronk had a great game. Hogan was a 4th-round pick, so I don't know. That's going to leave people a little bit nervous. Let's Buffalo Bills. The whole team is a complete cesspool. It's a pile of garbage. LaShawn McCoy is probably the one Bill a lot of players have, and he didn't squat against the Baltimore Ravens this past week.
I do not trust LaShawn McCoy.
I don't either. He fell to me in 3 leagues. And it's like, he's sitting there and Mixon's off the board. Drake's off the board. And it's like, McCoy's sitting there in the 4th round. I grabbed him.
How many leagues do you have?
I have him in 3.
I didn't.
He's my RB2 in all 3 of them, though. It's like, so, okay. Let's wait and see. I think they'll have a bounce back week against the Chargers. I don't think the Bills are going to win many games. They're a 14-15 loss team this year. But LaShawn McCoy's all they have. He'll get his weeks. He'll do something, but you don't know when.
Would you bench him?
No, I'm going to start him this week.
Start him this week.
I'm playing him this week.
Would you, if he continues to do this bad, will you bench him?
Oh, eventually. Yeah. I mean, you can't wait around. You don't get a lot of time in fantasy, so this is it.
Here's the thing. Players have bad games. Coaches make mistakes. I don't think we should totally anybody should overreact to all these players not doing so great because they could bounce back whenever they.
Absolutely. And LaShawn McCoy's got a heck of a pedigree. Well, he really does. So I think playing this week, it's the Chargers. The Chargers have a good defense, but still, I'm playing them this week. How about Deshaun Watson in his first game back against the Patriots? That wasn't good. He didn't look good. Now, I mean, look, first game back, ACL tear.
Yeah.
He needs his legs. He was a little inaccurate. Let's, wait and see on that.
And things will change once Fuller gets back full, too.
Yeah, and they're playing Tennessee this week.
Should start him.
That could get him healthy. Yeah, I mean, if you drafted Deshaun Watson, you spent a high pick on him, so you're not going to sit him just yet. Wait and see on that.
I think you should start him week 2.
Yeah, I'll start him.
I would start him. I don't have him, but I would.
And if he gets healthy this year, and if he gets his legs underneath him, I think he'll be fine. But week 1 was not good. And how about I never liked this guy, Derrick Henry.
I have him in one league. We always talk about who's going to be the lead back in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know with Henry and Deion Lewis.
Deion Lewis.
He
looked really good.
He was on my bench.
Yeah.
Womp, womp, womp again.
I think Lewis is the guy to own there. Henry's a plotter.
He got a long TD called back by a penalty, though.
Yeah, I'm not into him. Don't see it. Not my thing. So I think if you have better options than Derrick Henry, you'd go there. So now, week 2 waiver wire. The waiver wire is loaded this week. But again, who do you think is going to last for the whole season when you're doing the waiver wire? You're picking up a couple guys on waivers for 1 week. You're picking up for the whole season. You'd rather use it for the whole season. The first guy I think you got to take a look at, and it was last night with the Jets, Quincy Enunwa. Quincy Enunwa was the guy. Now remember Robbie Anderson? Robbie Anderson had a touchdown. He got caught one pass all night. It was for a touchdown, but 1 pass.
Yep.
Enunwa had 10 targets, 6 catches, touchdown. He looked great.
He sure did. They faced Miami this week.
So you believe in him?
I do.
Yeah, you going to get him?
I think after week 1, he looks like a lead wide receiver. At least until Curse comes back. But we can see what happens when Curse comes back. But
he's my wide receiver target this week, no doubt about it. I would pick him up for sure.
And they have a very unproven tight end too.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of unproven on that team, but Enunwa is a year off an injury. He just looked very, very solid last night. I would be in on that for sure. How about Phillip Lindsay on the waiver wire?
He came out of nowhere.
Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay got the same amount of carries.
Yes.
Lindsay caught a couple passes.
He caught 2 passes for 31
yards.
yards.
Lindsay looked better than Freeman did. He looked a little more explosive. He's a little smaller, but he looked a little more explosive. Are you picking up Phillip Lindsay on the waiver wire this week?
I'd like to try. I don't have very high priority on my waivers for all my teams, but I think he's going to be a predominant part of Denver's offense.
I think he is too. That was a bit of a surprise. Everybody was on the Royce Freeman train, but man, Phillip Lindsay looked very, very good.
Sure did.
I think he's worth a pickup. Now, let's go to the Green Bay offense and Geronimo Allison looked excellent. He's now the 3rd target, though, in the Green Bay offense. Are you picking up Geronimo Allison?
He's not my favorite pickup. The matchup in week 2 was going to be tough for him.
Yeah, Minnesota's not easy.
I think he's going to have plenty of great moments. But I think it's going to be very unsteady, and you're not going to know when these moments are going to happen.
Absolutely. I don't know what Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb does not stay healthy. He's got availability issues. Devontae Adams, even Dante Adams has a bit of availability issues. I like Allison. I'm not all in on it. And then you've got the Jimmy Graham factor there too.
And the Rodgers being...
And Rodgers, we don't know if Rodgers is going to play this week. Rodgers, that was what a game that was, right?
That was so scary.
That was an amazing game, though. It just shows you what this league needs Aaron Rodgers so badly, and he was absolutely just tremendous. I would say with Geronimo Allison, I'd like to get him. I would not pick him over Enunwa, because you want a guy that is the lead target as opposed to a guy that's the secondary target or the tertiary target in this case with Allison. But Allison could be a factor this year. I think you got to keep an eye with him. I got him in a couple of leagues. I already have him in a couple of leagues. I've not put claims on him in the leagues. I don't have him, but I would be interested in him for sure.
He's not my favorite.
Now here's going to be a polarizing one. Here's the guy on the Oakland Raiders last night, Jared Cook. Are you picking up Jared Cook?
I'm personally not picking up Jared Cook, but if you have some tight end problems, which a lot of people do because of Olsen this week and a lot of the tight end problems that we're going to see, I think Jared Cook is an okay pickup for a tight end. I think he's also going to be a top 10 tight end this week.
Well, let's see. He was the number one tight end off the board in all fantasy all week. He was even better than Gronk. Here's your situation. Wide receivers last night got less than 10 targets total. It was all to Richard and Cook. How weird is that? That's not going to happen every week.
No.
Jared Cook has a history of just disappointing. Every time you think he's going to do something and then nothing. Now, again, I don't know what the scheme is. I don't know what to think with the Raiders. I just don't know. And I would say I'm holding off on that. If there's better options out there, if Ebron's out there, I'd rather have Ebron. If Kittle's out there, I'd rather have Kittle.
I agree.
don't think Kittle's out there in a lot of leagues. Cook's out there in just about every league, though.
They have a great matchup with the Broncos, though.
Yeah. I'm not high on this. I would not pick him up. Now, again, you may not have a choice because Delaney Walker out for the season. We're going to get to that. Greg Olsen out for 8 weeks with the same fracture that he had a year ago. Tight end, once again, is a cesspool. It's horrible out there if you want to get a tight end.
I agree.
If you don't have one of the big tight ends. And even if you have one of the big tight ends, it's not good.
Well, look
so you might not have a choice to pick up Jared Cook, but I wouldn't expect any kind of regular usage out of that.
Maybe a matchup friendly.
And my guy Derek Carr, not bad he looked last night.
Did you draft him?
I have him in a 2-quarterback league. I had him on my bench as a backup quarterback. I can cut him now. I had him like on leagues where I had Andrew Luck, but Andrew Luck looked really good.
Yeah, he did.
So,
my boy.
I mean, Carr's going to do better than that. If Carr's healthy, he'll do better than that, but that was not good.
Maybe he had some jitters.
Yeah. So, now a couple of news and notes from the week. Still no Le'Veon Bell.
I am so happy James Conner killed it. I'm so happy.
He looked terrific.
He really
fumbled
did.
At the end of that game, but he looked terrific.
He had some jitters,
Yeah, no, he looked good. Now, here is your strategy question. If you have James Conner, and you don't have Le'Veon Bell, do you trade him?
Absolutely. I know what you're gonna say before you say it, Kenny.
What
I would trade. He is such good trade bait right now. He had a great game. This is when you trade him.
This is when you trade him.
Do you agree?
Yes, but how long can you keep James Conner for? Is he a 10-week guy? Is he a 3-week guy? We don't know what's going on with Bell. And when Bell comes back, he's the guy.
This is true. Right. And because of the uncertainty of Bell and Conner, I think that's why you trade him now.
Yeah.
And get somebody that is going to be legit.
If you have Lev Bell, I hope you have James Conner. But if you don't and you have James Conner, you have a nice little trade chip there. I wonder what you can get for him. You might be able to get a wide receiver 2 for him. You might be able to get a running back 2 for him. You might be able to get something pretty good for him. So it'd be highly considered trading James Conner.
Do it now.
Carson Wentz, it looks like we've had conflicting reports. So we heard on Thursday night it's several more weeks. We also heard from Chris Mortensen this week that it could be in week 3 for Carson Wentz.
That's what I said. That's what I said on our last podcast. I really hope it's week 3 or week 4.
I hope so too.
I really do.
Nick Foles did not look so hot, so I hope for the Eagles' sake that Wentz is back there soon. Injuries. A couple of injuries that are not season-ending injuries. Leonard Fournette.
Hamstring injury. Do you pick up Yeldon?
Yes.
Yes.
If you have Fournette, you need to.
Yes.
But man, Fournette, can the guy stay on the field? Really?
No.
I like Fournette a lot, but man, these nagging injuries with him, I don't know. Fournette, so now he could play this week. He could be out a week. They said that the strain is minor, but what does that mean? We don't even know what that means. So
Pick up Yeldon.
Yeah, you better get Yeldon if you do. Doug Baldwin. It's the other knee this time.
Partially torn MCL.
Which
could
is
be out.
It's basically a sprain.
Well, they're saying it's this phase 2, which is a little worse.
Yeah.
He could be out 2 to 3 weeks.
He could be out 2 to 3 weeks. Who are you picking up in Seattle? Hey, there's a
Brandon
Brandon Marshall sighting in Seattle. Brandon Marshall, 90 years old and still running.
He looked really good.
He did look good.
Can't lie.
Yeah. You might need to go get him.
I'll pick him up.
I like Brandon. I've always loved Brandon Marshall as a player. I hope it works out for him. And I mean, you need help out there because you don't know what they now. They have Tyler Lockett too. Tyler Lockett. He didn't get a lot of targets, but when he caught one, he caught a deep one. So, but I think you got to go get Brandon Marshall.
I like Brandon Marshall. I know
you
he's
might get a good
but
6-7 weeks out of him. You know, he's older. He might get hurt, but you might get a little time out of him. So, obviously the Greg Olsen injury, not good. Fracture, 8 weeks.
Yeah, he said he's going to rehab it instead of doing some surgery.
Yeah.
It's probably for the best, but it's also could be weeks and weeks and weeks before he comes back.
It might be. This might be the end of the Greg Olsen era.
It's
it
sad.
Might be done. So obviously you need help at tight end. We were talking about some options to pick up at tight end. Now the backup tight end in Carolina is Ian Thomas. You could go pick him up if you want. We don't know anything about him. He was a pick this year, but we know nothing about him. So, but if you need tight end help,
take a chance.
You're looking at Eric Ebron's on a lot of waiver wires. Austin Seferian-Jenkins is on a lot of waiver wires. I don't know if you want to get him.
I like that face you're making right now.
If you can see my face, if we had a TV, I had a face for Austin Seferian-Jenkins. I was like,
stank face.
That's a stank face.
Stank
It
face.
is a stank face. Benjamin Watson's available too. He's on a great offense. He's also 90 years old, but he's decent. So
He's 90 years old.
I just say, if you're over like 35, you're just 90. Might as well be. In football terms, you're 90.
You're dead if you're football terms.
Yeah. So, but you need tight ends. It's gonna be real rough.
It's getting thinner.
Really.
It was already rough.
Already thin, and it's now thinner than ever.
Whew.
Really rough. Now, here's a guy that injury looked bad on Sunday. Then he came back in the game. Then he was taken back out again. Looks like he might miss a week. He might not miss too much time at all. Marquise Goodwin. A lot of people were high on Marquise Goodwin this year. Now you saw Dante Pettis. He played pretty well in his absence. George Kittle got a lot of targets in his absence. But, obviously still high on Marquise Goodwin. Hopefully, weather the storm for a week. That's a little sad. He could be a heck of a player. Garcon, on the other hand, Pierre Garcon, didn't do much. Didn't look too good.
That's sad.
Yeah. Another guy's 90 years old.
I feel like, though, with Marquise Goodwin, I think we need to see a good week with him before putting him in. Me, personally, anyway. I want to see a really good week before I trust him.
Well, I am in 2 leagues. I sat him in both leagues because I had better options. And, again, they're against Minnesota. I'm not starting wide receivers if I can help it against Minnesota.
No.
I mean, I'll start Devontae Adams this week because he's Devontae Adams. If Rodgers is playing now, if Rodgers is out.
That's a whole other ball
Rodgers
game.
is out. All hands off deck in Green Bay. That means, you have Cobb, you sit him, Allison sit him, but Devontae Adams, you even consider sitting him because you don't want to deal with Minnesota there at all. Don't want to deal with that. So, so no, I sat Marquise Goodwin this week. All right, here's our new segment, and we're going to have this obviously every week during the fantasy year, and we're going to have Christina Shaw sing the Start 6 segment.
It's a Wednesday night. Who should you choose? Make the right choice so you win, not lose. Start or sit, start or sit, start or sit.
She couldn't keep a straight face.
I almost couldn't see. That was
she couldn't
amazing.
keep a straight face.
I can't wait to hear that. That was great, Kenny.
There you go. Well, I was done. I've sung all of them, so it's nice to give Christina Shaw. Christina Shaw's a great singer on her own right.
Thank you.
And a great impersonator, by the way.
Thank you. We co-wrote that song, Kenny. It was our first song.
It was
we
our
wrote
first
together.
song we co-wrote. The royalty money is going to be astounding. I can't wait
Should we
for
copyright?
that newspaper I'll be able to buy with that royalty money. With
Should we copyright that song?
Absolutely. Yeah. Copyrighted Davidsen Shaw. If you want a piece of that.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds like a law firm. Davidsen Shaw, right?
I love it.
Here's your first start sit. We just talked about Chris Hogan. I have a situation where it's Chris Hogan or Nelson Aguilar. Nelson Aguilar against Tampa Bay. Chris Hogan against Jacksonville. Chris Hogan, he didn't look too good. Aguilar didn't get any yards, but he was the guy. Mm-hmm. He's targeted.
He was targeted
a lot. You starting Aguilar or Hogan?
I'm starting Aguilar. I think the Jags have a strong pass defense for Hogan. I don't think he's going to do so great.
I agree with you. I'm starting Aguilar.
That was an easy one.
Yeah. It's not easy because Chris Hogan is on a high-powered offense. And I don't think he's not going to be that bad every week.
No, I think he had a bad situation last week.
Well, you were talking about, do you sit Chris Hogan this week? I think it's all situational. If you've got an option. Now, look, if you had Emmanuel Sanders on your bench and you've got Chris Hogan, yeah, you're sitting
Hogan.
You're sitting in for Emmanuel Sanders.
Man, Emmanuel Sanders looked good.
Yeah, he did look good.
He always looks good. But
Case Keenum likes slot receivers.
Yep.
Emmanuel Sanders is a slot receiver. That's why I was high on Emmanuel Sanders. I got Emmanuel Sanders in a lot of leagues this year, and Emmanuel Sanders is going to help you out this year.
I did not. I wish I did.
Yeah, no, I like him. I liked him more than Demaryius Thomas for sure.
Well,
Demaryius Thomas did good though.
He did decent. At first, when you're actually watching the game, you're thinking, "Oh no, this is going to be all Sanders all day long." But Demaryius ended up with about 18 fantasy points for me, which was
now a guy to keep an eye on the Denver Broncos is Courtland Sutton. Second round pick, their top wide receiver draft pick, looked very good. If Thomas or Sanders go down with an injury this year, go get Courtland Sutton. He's going to produce without a doubt. That offense looks pretty decent. We weren't sure with Case Keenum, but that offense looks not bad.
When you have receivers like Sanders and
Thomas, and now Phillip Lindsay in the backfield, catching passes out of the backfield. Royce Freeman, he didn't look too bad. He didn't look bad at all. So they got some options in Denver. But so I would say with Hogan, it's all situational. If you got a better option, you might want to sit him this week, especially since they're against Jacksonville. Aguilar, I targeted Aguilar in a lot of leagues this year.
And they don't have very many wide receivers on the Eagles.
No, not until Jeffrey's back. So Aguilar, you get him in your lineup if you have him.
They actually signed some wide receivers to the practice squad.
They did.
The Eagles.
Yeah. They still have Torrey Smith.
Oof.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Here's another start sit question. So let's go with a couple of these guys are not great options, but I want to bring them up because I picked up Peyton Barber in a lot of leagues this week. Now Peyton Barber got the volume that you're looking for from a back, did not produce with it. Now they didn't use him in the running game. He was good in the first half. The second half they just didn't need him as much. It's weird how that game played out because they were throwing the ball downfield all day long.
Yeah.
So they didn't use him, but he got 19 carries. He's the guy. There's no other guy they're going to give the ball to. But another situation I have is Peyton Barber versus Bilal Powell. Bilal Powell,
love him.
He's not a great option, but in New York Jets, he did play. Who would you start there? You starting Powell or Barber?
I like Bilal Powell.
You like Bilal Powell.
I always like Bilal Powell. I think he did fairly good this week too, and I think Barber faces the Eagles, which is. I think when you have it that tight of a situation where you don't know what to do, I like to go off of matchups, me personally.
Yeah, I think it's a good situation. I wouldn't start. I'm avoiding a lot of Bucks against the Eagles this week because the Eagles defense looked great.
Yeah.
So if you got another option there, now I have another league where it's Peyton Barber versus Deion Lewis. To me, that's not even a question.
Lewis.
Yeah, Deion Lewis is absolutely, and Deion Lewis is against Houston. Houston's defense is not bad, but I'm starting Deion Lewis wherever I can this week.
Now, what about Powell or Crowell?
If you have both,
I have both, and they're
do
both.
You have both?
I have both, and they're both on my bench. Do I play?
Well, what are you benching them for? That's the question.
I don't remember, honestly.
I would say they're against Miami. It's situational. I would play Powell over Crowell because Powell's in the passing game, although Crowell looked great too. But I would say I have a little more faith in Powell than I do Crowell. Crowell's one of those guys that you own if you have to own him.
Yeah, but he got 22 points.
He did well, but a lot of that was on one play. One big play last night. I would prefer Powell over that, but Powell's going to be serviceable if you have him this year.
I'm going to stash him. Maybe some trade bait because since I have Powell and Crowell, it might be a nice Might be a nice little trade bait now while Crowell did so well. Or
Yeah.
wait till Powell blows up and use him for trade bait.
Yeah. Interesting situation there. Now, I got a tight end question here. I was not high on Jimmy Graham. No, Chris was a lot higher on Jimmy Graham than I was going into the offseason. You were high on Jimmy Graham and Jordan Reed. I think you're going to be right on one and wrong on the other. Because Jordan Reed looked very good, and if he stays healthy, he's gonna get a lot of volume there.
My boy.
But I have Jimmy Graham in one league. Also, it's the same league we just talked about where I had Fournette, Baldwin, and Mariota. So that team crapped the proverbial bed this week, as they say. But I have Ebron on the bench. Ebron did not get the target share. He was not on. Not on the field. No, he got more targets. I should say that he was not on the field as often as Graham was. Graham was on the field all game. Are you starting Ebron or Jimmy Graham?
I'm starting Ebron. I think you should sit Graham until he actually produces.
I agree. And again, Graham's up against the Vikings.
And Ebron's up against the Redskins.
Yeah, I'm starting Ebron this week. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm starting Eric Ebron over Jimmy Graham.
Do it.
I'm doing it.
Take a chance. That's the league you have like mediocre. Yeah,
I
take
know.
A chance.
That league needs a miracle right now.
Yeah.
Oh, brother. But yeah, I'm starting Eric Ebron over Jimmy Graham.
Do it.
Would you start Jack Doyle over Jimmy Graham? Indianapolis. No.
I think I'd take a chance on Graham.
And Jack Doyle is the other guy. Indianapolis is going to be very interesting this year. They may have two serviceable tight ends that you could play every week.
Which is scary because you don't know who's going to get the production out of that.
Well, they both did this week. Maybe they both do all year. Maybe it's a two tight end. Look, their second wide receiver is Ryan Grant. They don't have much at wide receiver. It's T.Y. Hilton and not much else. So maybe they're going to go with two tight ends a lot this year. Maybe you're looking at Doyle and Ebron as your second and third best receiving options on the Indianapolis Colts. Maybe you go get one. Maybe you play either one of them. You never know.
This is true. But you're always going to have that one that does better than the other, and you're going to have that toss-up every week. Which one should I play?
Right. How about Jimmy Graham and George Kittle? George Kittle against the Detroit Lions.
I like Kittle.
You like Kittle?
I like Kittle over Graham.
He looked great.
Yeah.
He has a nickname though. His nickname is George Brittle.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
George Brittle. Well,
I like Kittle. I don't think Kittle's available in a lot of leagues, but I said it earlier. If Kittle's available, go get him. He looks very good. Jimmy Graham worries me. I'm telling you right now. He just worries me. I don't like that he played as many snaps as he played and got as few targets as he got. I'm sure he'll be a red zone threat. I don't think he's going to do much in the middle of the field. I'd be concerned.
Old.
He's getting old.
And
he didn't look good last year either. I'd be a little concerned if you're a Jimmy Graham owner. I was not high on Jimmy Graham. Now, again, getting back to what Chris was talking about earlier last week, we're talking about Jimmy Graham or Jordan Reed. She liked both of them. Jordan Reed looked very, very good.
Yes, he did. That's my boy.
Now, again, obviously, with Reed, it's availability issues. Can I say that word? Availability issues.
You
Can
got
you say
it.
that? Can you say that, Chris?
Availability issues.
You sound so much better saying that than I do.
Thank you.
Availability issues. Now, he's definitely got that. But looked really good. And he didn't go in a lot of drafts this year, so there you go. So it is time for a weekly segment, our fantasy football burial. And I left Christina's house at 4 o'clock on Sunday. I'm like, you know what? We don't have a burial this year. And then just as I left, this guy went down for the season. One of my favorite players.
Oh, no.
Ladies and gentlemen, here lies the fantasy life in 2018 of Delaney Walker. Delaney Walker, a wonderfully underappreciated tight end, broke his ankle. Delaney Walker is out for the season. May he rest in fantasy peace.
Why?
I had him in the most of my leagues.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. I love Delaney Walker. Now, Delaney Walker's 34 years old. He's not a kid, but love that guy.
Do you think he comes back from this?
Well, definitely not this year. 2019. Yeah, you don't know.
With his age,
it's
kind of
age,
scary.
you just don't know. You don't know. I feel very bad for him. Now, a second burial this week, but he was buried a year ago. Here lies the fantasy football life of Jeremy Hill if you owned him.
Which you probably didn't.
But frankly, you should have buried him in 2017. I think Jeremy Hill's been dead for 5 years, frankly. But then again, he's out for the season. May Jeremy Hill rest in peace. I went to a major chord at the end there.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, did you like that? Yeah, Jeremy Hill out for the year. Remember I mentioned Sony Michel to you last week? Get ready for the Sony Michel show in New England. It may not be this week. It might be week 3. Get ready, folks.
Same thing with him. I think till he really does a great game, I'd kind of put him on the bench until he blows up. Do you play him?
Oh, yeah. No. You don't play him.
Okay.
You don't play him until you see what he is.
Exactly.
And they've got Burkhead and they've got James White. James White looked very good. Burkhead got a lot of carries, but not a lot of production. That'll change. I'm still high on Burkhead. He looked good. James White looked very good. So now, we've been burying everybody, but it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to awake somebody from the fantasy football dead.
Oh.
It's time to raise Adrian Peterson from the fantasy football dead. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome back to your lineups the great Adrian Peterson.
Who?
Adrian Peterson is alive on the Redskins as I go up chromatically on the scale. Go get Adrian Peterson. May he last for 16 weeks in 2018.
He won't.
And help your fantasy teams to a victory. We welcome back Adrian Peterson. How about Adrian Peterson?
Is he going to last the whole year, though?
No.
Exactly.
But you might get 8 good weeks out of him. And again, Washington's got nothing. They got nothing. They got Samaje Perine. Didn't look, he didn't look good last year. Rob Kelly, forget him.
Oof.
Right? Now they do have Chris Thompson, but it's a different role for Chris Thompson. And Chris Thompson looked excellent.
I like
week.
Chris Thompson.
But he doesn't compete with Adrian Peterson for touch it. It's a different story because one's a pass catching back, the other's a runner. Adrian Peterson's a runner, but he's going to get the ball.
Yeah.
You ride Adrian Peterson as long as you can. If you're in a half-point PPR or a non-PPR, Adrian Peterson's going to be great. If you're in a PPR league, it'll be so. But, I doubt he's on waivers. Most people got him. But if you got him, you got yourself a bargain, I think, for at least the first half of this year.
Do you think this was a fluke?
No.
Or you think he's for real?
I think it's for real.
All right.
Well, he's for real in the fact that he's going to get volume. He's not going to produce like this every week, but he's going to get the ball.
Right.
He's absolutely going to get the ball there. Now, Chris Thompson, if he stays healthy, he's a beast.
I like Chris.
I like him too. I got him. I tried to get him in a few leagues this year. He is excellent. I'd be very happy for Chris Thompson. But you know what? You got AP. You did pretty well for yourself.
You have him in a couple leagues?
I got him in 2 leagues.
Worth a shot.
Yeah, worth a shot. He helped me. He helped me to wins in both my leagues.
Do you play him?
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, you played him in one league.
I played him in one league. I sat him in another. I didn't need him in the second league.
How many points did he get you?
He got me, I think, 22.
Not bad.
No, not bad at all. No.
Jeez.
He's again. You want volume from your backs. This is why. Look, we talked down Peyton Barber. Don't give up on Peyton Barber. He's a volume back. He's going to get the ball. Don't look down on Rex Burkhead, even though he didn't do so well this week. Obviously, Kareem Hunt. You want volume from your backs, and you're getting volume from those guys. You're getting volume from Barber. You're getting volume from Adrian Peterson. You play those guys. Yeah. Because that is the idea. You want backs with volume as opposed to a back that's in a timeshare and it's getting half the volume or not getting, I'll tell you who was kind of in a timeshare this week and makes me very nervous is Kenyon Drake. I got Kenyon Drake in a lot of leagues, and Frank Gore, another 90-year-old.
I don't think that's going to last.
I don't think it will either, and hopefully Adam Gase gets it and plays Drake, but man, that was a little scary.
That's not, or Gore's going to hurt something and be carted off the field and to the...
He never gets hurt, though. He plays.
But he's getting old.
He's getting old.
Your bones are brittle.
Yeah. It just makes me a tad nervous there.
I wouldn't be nervous about that.
Well, I hope you're right. So there you go. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our 4th edition of our Vegas Fantasy. Come check us out on Spotify and share us, rate us,
comment on us.
Tell us to go, F ourselves.
Hey!
I don't know, whatever you want. Just say something, because I really want to get to you this year, and we hope you enjoyed our Vegas Fantasy.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for joining us this week. Thank you to Ken Bolke, our great engineer. We'll see you next time on our Vegas Fantasy. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.